With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
A lot of stuff happening in our area. A lot of baseball action happening, too. So he is in studio himself, JC and EC. First of all, big thanks for stopping by Friday and golfing with us, man.
Oh, no problem. I had a blast. It was a good time. Me and Brandon.
Sportsmanship winners, it looks like.
Self-appointed.
Yes. Even Parr won it, man. Doesn't that just grind your gears a little bit?
Yeah. We were right there.
Yep.
We went to because we started off on 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to the 9th, and we had a good shot for birdie.
Yeah.
And couldn't get it, and then we bogeyed the last hole. So maybe it's better that we didn't get that birdie.
Yeah.
And then go to the last hole, and realizing that if we would have parred that, we would have been fine. So.
Yeah. But that's what I like about the tournament. It's like almost everybody's like on even
right.
playing field.
Yeah.
So
you don't have those 9 under par.
Yep, exactly. Oh yeah, the little guys over there. It's like a turtle head popping out.
Yeah, I
of
was
the
like,
shell.
hey,
but no, big thanks again for stopping by, man.
Thank you for all you do. That's an awesome event, and I'm glad we can help out. So.
Yeah, 3 flights, and they want to make Princeton wants to make it bigger. So I don't know how we're going to do that.
If you can handle it, right?
Yeah,
for
exactly. So. Man, this has got to be close to now. We're kicking into high gear for you guys over at Sports Scene 13. High school football practice starting this week, so it's coming up here soon, isn't it?
It is. The summer's over.
Yeah.
You flip the calendar to August, and it's exciting though for high school football about to start here tomorrow. Practices, and then a couple of weeks we'll have our first games here. So it came real quick.
Yeah.
July was you blink and it's over.
How weird is it going to be for you when it comes to football and you got the Big Rivers Conference shaking up a little bit? I know Brandon's been doing some series on that with the Chippewa Herald, but you got teams are different now, right?
It really
Conferences are different now.
Yeah.
So how weird is that going to be for you?
It's weird, but it's not so weird just because it's been like every couple of years now with the whole, balancing the conferences that you kind of have to adjust. It's just, I think these are the biggest adjustments. Obviously, when you have your 2 largest high schools in your town, switching over basically to the Wisconsin Valley. I don't know how you want to say if it's the Big River. Remember, it was originally going to be the Big Rivers, but I feel like it's still the Wisconsin Valley.
Yeah, especially when the majority of teams
are from the Valley.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So to me, I'm looking at the schedule. It's going to be weird, but honestly, it works out pretty well for us where thankfully we have a good affiliate in Wausau. That'll be able to help us out, get those games, and we'll be able to help get these. So it's going to be different just not having these normal rivalries but there's 2 non-conference games that you're scheduling that are getting some of those too. So
right.
It'll be weird originally. I think it'll kind of just adjust itself during the year, and it won't be too bad. I'm curious to see too,
North had a really, I think, kind of like a coming out year last year for football and see how they can continue to build off that. I mean, some big wins last year.
Yeah.
I know they defeated Memorial and such, but be interesting to see if they can continue to build upon what they did last year, too.
Yeah, and then you got, again...
Memorial's got a new head coach coming in.
Right, so you get the different opponents to kind of judge yourself on. So, that's kind of a tricky thing if you're a new coach coming in where you've had years of film on a lot of these teams. It's a little different when now you have a whole different slew of teams that you're going to have to play. But at least, there's so much kind of overlapping between central Wisconsin and our area with sports anyway.
Right.
Most of these teams end up playing each other at some point.
Yep.
And if it's the playoffs or something like that. So, again, I don't think it'll feel – it's good. It's just weird to have North Memorial in a different conference, but I think it's one of those things that initially it's a shock, but after a while we'll get used to it. So.
Right, yeah.
I think it's like Rice Lake moving back into the Big Rivers. Now they're by far the smallest school in that conference, so it's going to be tough to see how they adjust to that, but that'll also, like every other sport when they're in the Big Rivers, help Rice Lake once it comes playoff time.
Exactly.
Playoffs, so.
I feel like that we're talking about that almost at playoff level for football or basketball or whatever the case may be. So, all right, so fall season coming up here, but first off, we got baseball. I mean, it's whatever level you want to choose, there's something going on.
Yeah.
Babe Ruth's going to Nationals. We just got done talking with Sammy with the Express. What a fantastic weekend for them. What a turnaround, in the second half.
Goodness.
I mean, they're tied for first right now. Huge final week of the regular season coming up here. But, I mean, Justus, you've been covering these Express teams for a while now. Grand slams, home runs, runs scored for this team. I mean, they've broken records. When you break records that have Cole Calhoun attached to it, too, I mean, it's been nothing but offense. And really timely pitching, though, too, coming down the stretch for the Express.
I've never seen this league with as many home runs as I've seen. You used to be lucky if you went, every 4 games, maybe you'd get a home run. But I feel like now we're getting home runs pretty much every game, which is fine. I mean, it's exciting. And the big thing you were talking about is the pitching. I mean, when they were struggling to stay out of giving up double digits in that first half.
Yep.
It was, they were scoring 8 or 9 runs, but giving up 12. That's not a formula for success.
Right.
But now, you're scoring those 8 or 9 runs and only giving up 4, 5, you're going to win. So if the offense keeps going, it's going to be tough. I mean, you got a 5-game road trip here, is it? To Thunder Bay.
Yep.
One of the toughest road trips you're going to take all year. At least you're there for a few of those, 5 days in a row, and then you go home. No, then Madison.
Then
that's a long trip from Thunder Bay to Madison, and then you come back for one here. And hopefully that one here, it's meaningless and you've already clinched something.
Right.
Or it means something and you got a chance to do it at home.
Exactly.
So, what a great turn. I was talking to Toyson, I saw him at the Classic, and I was like, I leave town for a week, and that's all you guys needed to turn it around. So he's like, you can leave town for another week if you want. I'm like, Sure, I'll do it.
Fine by me, right?
You can send me up to Thunder Bay. That would be
but I mean, we were talking about like Dylan O'Connell playing multiple positions. I mean, you guys got, I mean, we're to that point where you got guys just stepping up, filling in, and helping out wherever they can. And I remember we were talking with Craig last week, and he was saying, O'Connell got hurt, wasn't sure if he was going to be able to play.
Yep.
He's still out there, whether it's first base, third base, center field.
Yeah,
he's giving it his all out there.
And you lose a big player like Ferris, who was, kind of a heart and soul of this team, and you lose him for the rest of the season. But you have guys stepping up, and I mean, it's fun too. I mean, all the players are great, but it's nice to see that core of local players that you have. I mean, Briggs Richards. What more can you say about the kid? He's been just raking the whole year. But you have Gustafson yesterday getting the Little League home run. Gabe Richardson hitting the home run as well. So, I mean, it's been a real fun team to watch, and hopefully they can get it done here in the final week.
Absolutely. And then, I mean, Cavs also winning the CBRL.
First CRBL title for them.
Yep. And we've got the WBA, I think, coming up, Wisconsin Baseball Association.
So playoffs for that. Well, I believe this week. I have to look at the dates. So you got, I mean, what a week for baseball, and then the 19U team.
They're leaving for nationals, I think, today, is it, or tomorrow? Or somewhere around there?
So it's what a whirlwind for those kids too. I mean, they'd be running around over in Marshfield, just dominating, not losing. Leo Lauscher was the MVP on the team. Congrats to him and that whole team. A big comeback in that final game.
Yep.
They could have rested on the laurels and said, "Oh, well, we're going to nationals anyway." They still battled to win that game.
Yep.
So let's see what they can do. I mean, there's so much baseball talent in this area, and we're seeing it on display here in the last week. And shout out to Asio, who's been hosting the Single A 19U tournament down there as well, and doing a great job at one of the best fields in the state. So shout out to Asio for Legion for all they've done for that too. And you talk about the Babe Ruth teams every year. Those Babe Ruth teams are usually making a trip to nationals too. Yeah. So it just starts at the ground floor and continues to just produce some great baseball in this area.
Absolutely. Then we got to wrap it up local wise. Kenny Bednarik. I mean, on one blush, when you see his seventh, but then you look at that photo of how insanely tight that 100-meter race was. What, like a tenth of a second from medaling?
Yeah.
From seventh to
I mean,
medaling.
he was a tenth of a second away. I mean, everybody's sub 10 in that race.
Yeah.
And to be that fast and still be seventh is insane. That just tells you how fast that race was and the level of talent was in it. And Kenny was right there.
Yeah.
He was that close. It's an eyelash away from placing. So that is nothing to be ashamed of, because I think coming towards the 200.
And that's his thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
his sister, we had interviewed her yesterday. She thinks he's going to go for the gold after getting the silver last time. So, it'll be fun to watch. And it was yesterday, what an event. Maybe one of the signature events of the Olympics was just to have that close of a finish in a race that everybody's like, it's 9 seconds, but it felt like a life. If you break down that race, how many different things happening.
Yes.
With Lyles, the push he has, he's the only guy accelerating in the final half of the race.
And you look at that photo, like I know some people were, and I saw somebody explain it online. It's not where your foot is, but it's like where your chest and your ab, and like when you look at it, it's like Lyles extends the torso, but the other guy, the foot was ahead, but it was the torso that won it. I mean, it was. I retweeted the photo you retweeted to see the different, per second. It's unreal.
Right, and the thing is too, people are like, well, isn't it any part that? No, it's always been. You'll see people reach with their hand, like when they're in a relay race and stuff like that. But it's the chest is what they measure, and they all know that. Yep. It's not like the Jamaican sitting there complaining about it because he knows how it goes. It's you, at the end you stick that chest out there and you try to do it. And Lyles just happened to stick it out there just a little bit farther to get the win, and a millisecond. I mean, it's just crazy. We've seen a lot of that in horse racing, car racing, and stuff like that. But to see the human element there is pretty awesome.
I think that one's going to go down in history.
Oh yeah,
we're going to remember that one's going to whenever every 40 years. There's going to be images of that race coming
now.
Through.
Lyles goes for the double, but of course Kenny's going to want to spoil that. So
and that's got to be a little chip, or a little edge, if you will, or just like I was that close, but now really focus on his go-to event.
And I think he is still kind of he ends up being overshadowed by Noah Lyles is the biggest personality in track and field, but Curly's kind of overshadowed him too. So I think if there's anything, there's a good old Aaron Rodgers chip on your shoulder kind of way when it comes to that 200 that he'll use.
I know. I mean, you got to cover him in high school when he was in Rice Lake. I mean, did you ever think after he beat Chance Dickman in a race?
That means Chance is the 9th fastest man in the world too. So
awesome video, by the way, with that. But I mean, do you ever think back, like, man, watching him at track field or even in football too, because he played a little football at Rice Lake, right? I mean, and now, I mean, we're talking about medaling at the Olympics. It's still got to be something like, I mean, we knew he was fast in high school, but I mean, Olympics-wise, that's still got to be something pretty cool for you to say, like, yeah, you got to cover that kid in high school.
Oh, it's really cool. And, you're watching him and he's dominating. And you're like, okay, this will transfer to college. Olympics is always, like, the farthest thing off because it's such a small amount of those. It's like, playing the NFL. Like, you watch a good football player, them playing the NFL, it's kind of like, it could happen, but the chances of it are so small. It's the same with the Olympics. Like, watching Kenny just dominate races, you're like, oh, yeah, this is something special. But nowhere in your mind are you just like, it's a sure thing he's going to be an Olympian because it takes such a second effort after high school to get to that elite level. But he's never stopped. He's never stopped striving, and we saw it. We saw it yesterday where he's right there, so close to being a tenth of a second from being the fastest man in the world. Yeah, and he's from Rice Lake, and we got to watch him for 4 years just dominate. Football wise, he probably had the most touchdowns per touches. I've ever. I mean, he only probably touched the ball I think it was 12 times, but I tried to figure it was like 7 touchdowns, and like the 12 times he touched the ball. It's just insane. I mean, once he got in the open field, what are you going to do? Right. There's no one catching. I'm surprised there aren't NFL teams just kind of being like, oh. Yeah, right. And he played high school football. He could
try his hand over there. I
mean, we're kind of, back in the day of return men. That would have been the man. But I know it's kind of coming back in a way with the new rules, but I don't have time to explain.
I mean, and, I'm just going back from watching your guys' interviews, but he seems very kind of humble too. Yeah. Was he like that?
Oh, he was always low key, humble. Like never got too high about things, never got too low about things. Was just, I mean, he didn't have to get too low because he was usually winning, but he was just usually after a race. It was just fun to talk to him because he was so just calm. Yeah, and just like I could have done this, could have done that, but would always have kind of a sense of humor about things. So, and I mean, he for him and Chance to do that and him have no problem just
that's like because that's why I asked you because I could still picture him saying let's do it and he could have been like no or just oh yeah let's do this now, but it was
and that's kind of thing that Chance can talk somebody into too, right? He just like no problem, like it's the old the Tommy Boy reference and stuff like that, a catch up ice, but Kenny loved it, and he a lot of guys could have been because you get elite athletes, and you don't know what the personalities are going to be. Yep. I think he has the perfect personality for it. And Kung Fu Kenny, that's come out more too.
Oh,
so.
yeah. Yep.
And I think personality is a big part of track and field.
Yes.
And the people were talking about Noah Lyles, what he does at the starting line to make, if it gets the guys off a little bit, it's all you need to win the race, especially in the 100.
Right. Exactly. So the bandana and everything, that's kind of signature now with Kung Fu Kenny.
So he should be, I think, the prelims or first rounds soon.
Yeah.
It's always trying to figure out with the Paris time and what we're at. But I know, because it's not the semifinals and finals aren't the same day this week.
Right.
So
let me see if I can find it out here quick. Coming up.
I should know this off the top of my head, but I knew it was today, and I know it's in the morning for the original.
Yeah. Just again as a reminder, so I mean, Lyles finished with a 9.79 first gold. Kenny 9.88.
Yeah. And I think that's his best time. I think it tied his previous best time. So, I mean, he did everything he could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you go to a high school meet and you saw that, you'd be like, that should be the difference between first and second. When that's the difference between first and seventh, that is just an amazingly fast race, historically fast race.
I don't know. This was I saw this from the Players Tribune because I did a quick Google search. Noah Lyles on competing against teammate Kenny Bednarek in the rest of the 200-meter field. He's definitely not going to take how he did here in the 100 meters lying down, but in typical Noah Lyles fashion. But he ain't winning. None of them are winning. When I come off the turn, they will be depressed. So, again, it's that personality, right?
Yeah, right there. So, I mean, if you're Kenny, there's a little bulletin board material. But I would guess that he knows Noah's personality from as many races as they've ran against each other. And when you're traveling the world with these guys, you know what to expect. And I don't think it phases him. I think he's going to run. That kind of talk isn't going to affect Kenny at all.
No, not at all. So it's going to be exciting to watch him for sure.
Yeah, it was just a blast. To have so many eyes on it. Because
who was the watch party too, right?
Philip was there. Philip was there.
Yeah.
So we'll have JD will be there on Thursday too for the finals of the 200. So yeah, just to see the family members and how they're embracing this as well. And the city of Rice Lake, obviously. I mean, to have an Olympian from a town that, Rice Lake's had its fair share of great athletes, but this is pretty great to see them just, embrace a guy who, he's a silver medalist already. Hopefully he can add to that with
the gold to that too. No doubt about it. So, JC, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for stopping by. And again, thanks for Friday. And I know it's going to be kind of crazy coming up here now too, with school still out, yet still high school football practices and all that stuff going on. So we appreciate you taking some time.
Yeah, and we got college practice will start here.
That's right. The Blue Goals got to be starting up here too, right?
Yeah. So and it's going to be full bore.
And they're going to be able to practice in their new facility over there.
And then next month we'll have the Blue Goal volleyball is going to play their tournament.
That's right.
At the Sonnentag as well. Yep. So yeah, it's going to be a big, big month for them.
Yes, definitely. And if you haven't been there yet, wow, that facility is impressive.
I've driven by. I've yet to be in. I'm one of the few that hasn't been inside yet, so I'm kind of waiting for that big moment when I go in there and really take it all in.
Yeah.
It's been such a long time in the works to have it here now. It's pretty nice.
It is. So, all right, JC, thanks, buddy. We appreciate it.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.